session 4. Last session we talked about hearing God's voice, and I'm sure that you're starting to notice what's going on in your thoughts. I'm sure you're starting to notice and you realize more and more how God's speaking to your thoughts. You might have even noticed how there's peace or there's no peace. So you're on a journey, and we grow in hearing God's voice. So it's exciting because you are growing right now in hearing His voice. Well, our 4th session is about strengths. So we're going to talk about strengths a little bit, and we're going to talk about what are your strengths before you do your activity in your workbook. Strengths. What are your strengths? What are strengths? Well, strengths is a talent that makes you good in an area. And it's not just something that happens once, but you're always good in that area. It comes quite natural to you. There's no striving in it. It's easy, it's fun. When you're working and doing something in your strength, it gives you life. You feel like you're alive at the inside, and you could just do it for hours because you really enjoy it. And there's that good, what you do is good, because it's your strength. I also, just to let you know, I also have put in your workbook a personality test. So take that in your own time. We're not talking much about it, but I put it in there because I think it's really important to know what personality you are. Not to put yourself in a box, but to understand why you tick a certain way, why you act a certain way. And also to realize there are other people around you, especially when you work in teams, when you're surrounded by other people, they have different personalities. And it's good to understand why they act a certain way, why they're doing a certain way. It's also good to know how can we communicate well with them so they understand us. I remember I was leading a team on a missions trip once, and I had this girl in my team, and she was a person of detail. She needed to know A, B, C, D, E, all the details, and it would drive me crazy. And I didn't get it at that stage. And now I understand that was her personality type. For her to feel safe, she needed to know as much detail as I could give her. I'm the opposite. Tell me when to show up and I just go with the flow. And that's enough for me. So at that time, I didn't understand that she needed all these details to feel secure. We're all different. We all process things in a different way. And so it's good to know how to communicate with others, how to communicate with other personality types, so we can understand with each other, so we can work well with each other. And so what is your personality type? Well, your personality type, it describes your inner traits. So the way you think is part of your personality type. The way you take in information is part of your personality type. The way you make decisions is part of your personality type. Some people, they make quick decisions. Some people take a long time to make decisions. They look at it from every single angle before they make a decision. Because there's different personality types. There's none wrong, none right, but we are all different. Personality types are the inner performance inside of you. What's going on inside of you, and that then influences your actions. So I put the test in your workbook to do, because I think it is important, if you don't know your personality yet, to know your personality type and to also get a better understanding how to work with other people. Also, our personality type and our strengths often play together. And so it's good to know. So do that in your free time. Do that between the sessions and just have a look and have a read through it. There's a lot of explanations in your workbook. So coming back to our strengths. strengths. So they are the outer performance. Personality type is the inner performance. But the strengths are the outer performance and the things we outwardly show people. As I said, they are consistent. You do really well in them. They give you life, they give you energy. You enjoy doing things that are in your strength. So I'm a bit of an artsy person. Let's have a look at some of the artists in history. For example, let's have a look at Monet. Monet is one of the famous impressionists. When you go to a gallery with a room of Monet pictures in it, you look at every single picture and every single picture delivers you that, wow, this is amazing. He wasn't just good at one picture, no. All through he was good. I've even seen a sketch pad from him and that was pretty impressive as well. So he was working in his strengths. He was working in his talent as a painter. And so he delivered us that, wow, this is incredible. And out of that became famous and is well known till today. So that's why we need to know our strengths, because our strengths are related to our destiny. Our strengths is related to your calling. When you live in your calling, you're going to do things you enjoy doing. You're going to do things you're good at. You're going to do things that give you life, that excite you, that you fulfill you at the inside, that gives you energy. That's what happens when we work in our strengths. It's opposite when we work in our weakness, isn't it? When we work in our weaknesses, it's a drag. It takes so much energy. It's not very encouraging. It's not very uplifting. It doesn't really give you much excitement at the inside. It's just tough and hard. And I don't know about you, but I grew up being told, work on your weaknesses. Work on your weaknesses. When we are not good at certain things at school, what are we getting told? Work on your weaknesses so you get better marks. Work on your weaknesses so you get better marks. And you never end up an A student in that area because it is not your strength. And so I believe, I'm a big believer that we shouldn't work on our weaknesses, but we should work on our strengths. Why? Because as we work on our strengths, we get better at it and better at it and better at it. And eventually we deliver that, wow, like Monet's paintings do. Wow, this is amazing. Wow, she or he is really incredible at this. Let's have a look at an example. Okay, so Johnny loves singing, so does Ashley. Johnny is really good at singing. Johnny, on a scale from 1 to 10, 1 being the least and 10 being the best, Johnny might be a 7. So Johnny is above average. Ashley, on the other hand, same thing, enjoys singing, but Ashley is average. He's a 5. So Johnny and Ashley both are aiming to pursue music. They're aiming singing. They want to become famous. They want to sing in big bands. They want to do the theater thing. So both Ashley and Johnny are investing in singing. So Johnny is investing into his strength. Ashley is investing into, I'm average in this. So they invest time. They take singing lessons. They try and be in a band. They might sing as a backup. They're getting experience in singing in groups and working with people. They might sing in a local choir. They're practicing at home, practicing their scales. Both of them are putting energy, time into their singing. So they are putting knowledge and skill with their singing to get better. So Ashley, he's an average. He's a 5. Ashley is probably going to improve and become a 7. 7 is still only above average. Johnny, on the other hand, he's improving his singing. He was a 7. He was an above average already. So Johnny might end up a 9 or even a 10 or a 9.5, which is coming close to, wow, he's amazing, wow, he's really good, he really has a talent, he really has a gift in this. And so if Johnny and Ashley both auditioned for the same choir, who would get the job? Johnny would, because people are looking for the wow. People are looking for the wow. People are looking for the talent. People are looking for the, this is amazing, this is good, I'm really impressed with that strength, I'm really impressed with that talent. People are not looking for average. People are not looking for, oh, this is okay. People are actually looking for incredible. And I'm sure we have all seen the shows like Australian Idol or American Idol, and there's always these clips of people that think they can sing, but they really can't. And so work on your strengths. Work on your strengths. Because if you work on your strength and put effort into developing your strengths, you're going to get to that point where, wow, people are noticing it. People are seeing it. People are recognizing it as a strength. And it's an enjoyment for you. It's an enjoyment. It's a joy. Johnny will get encouraged. Johnny will get gigs. Johnny will get open doors because he is delivering a wow in his singing. While Ashley is probably not going to get that. He might get a gig here and there, but he won't get the same amount of open doors, the same amount of encouragement, because he's only above average. And so that's why I am a big believer in working on our strengths, knowing your strengths first of all, and then working on your strengths so you get better on your strengths, so you deliver that wow, you deliver that 10, level 10, that this is incredible, this is really good, this is what we're looking after. Another example, I used to run an outreach to the Muslim community and in my city, and we know a man who was working with the same organization with me, he came up to me and said, have you noticed all the Muslim coming? And so he started talking about doing an outreach, doing some ministry. He had such a heart and passion for Muslims. His strength was just his knowledge about them and his knowledge of just reaching out to them and talking to them. And so that was his strength, but he had a weakness in administration. He knew that he couldn't pull this off by himself. He knew that he needed to partner with somebody that had administration as their gift to actually deliver a great outreach and a great ministry time for all the participants. So we worked together. One of my strengths is administration. I see the big picture. I love to organize big events and have my hands in all these different pots to just get things, see things fall together. I really enjoy that. And so we were both working in our strengths, and we were running outreaches for 70 to 100 people. So it was a big crowd of people that we were catering for and looking after. And so because we were both working in our strengths, we could deliver an outreach that left the participants with a, wow, this was amazing. I want to come back next year. This was so much fun. I really enjoyed it. If he would have tried to run it by himself, it probably would have been a big flop. It would have been disorganized, a chaos, not a wow, but more of a, that was an interesting experience. So that's why we need to know our strengths, but we also need to know our weaknesses, because God loves it when we work in teams. He doesn't want lone rangers. He wants us to work in teams. And so if we know our weakness, we can then pray people in or look for people that have our weaknesses as their strength. And if we pull those people that have our weaknesses as their strength into the team, we're going to deliver the wow, because everybody will be working in their strength. And the outcome will be a level 10 wow experience. So that's why it's important to know our strengths. And it's also important to know our weaknesses. Some of you have a good understanding of your strengths. Some of you you're struggling, you have not much idea. Some of you, you're even telling yourself you have no strength. Can I tell you one thing? That's a lie from the enemy. Every single person has strengths. Every single person has things that they're really good at. Maybe you just haven't discovered them. And so we're going to be looking at our strengths in the workbook in a minute. Before we do, I want to tell you how to grow in your strengths. So once you discover your strengths, you want to aim for getting better at your strengths. If you're an above average, you want to get to a level 10, to a this is amazing. So once you discover your strength, have a think about what knowledge can you put around your strength. Are there courses you can do? Are there new books you can read? How can you get more experience? How can you grow in your talent? Can you practice it more? What can you do to put more skill around your strength so your strength actually grows and gets better? Why? Because we want to deliver wow. And so to excel in our strengths, we need to get more knowledge around it. We need to practice. We need to put even money and finances and time into it to get better. It's said that every single person has 5 main strengths, and no one has the same strengths than you do. And these are the things we're going to discover today, and we're going to have a look at today. So 5 main strengths. Again, they're natural abilities. They're areas where you perform at a great level. No strain, no striving. You enjoy doing it. And it's energizing. And it's satisfying to you. You really enjoy it. You love it. It gives you energy. And your strengths will be recognized by others because other people see your strengths. So people who know you well would see your strengths because you just live them out. Now, I want to take you through our activity in the workbook. So the first thing, what you're going to be doing, you see a list of lots of strengths there. This list is not a 100% list, okay? This list is just stirring you and giving you ideas. If there's a strength that you know you have and a talent that you know you have and it's not on that list, please write it down, okay? But this list is going to help you to just think about all sorts of different areas in your life and see what are your strengths and what are not your strengths. So if you're reading through this list and you're like, oh yeah, that's totally me, that's my strength, underline it. Mark it with some text down, mark it with some markers. Then you're going to take those strengths that you have underlined. Maybe you have 10, maybe you've underlined 15, maybe you've underlined 20. And I want you to then turn the page and write all the strengths you have underlined and marked on that page. Okay? Then with a prayerful and an open ear towards the Lord and towards the stirring in your spirit and a open mind, I want you to read through them again and have a think, are there any of these things that are actually learned abilities? What do I mean with learned abilities? Sometimes we are in situations where we have to do things. And after a while, we really enjoy doing these things because we have learned the knowledge, we have done it, we're enjoying it, we are actually good at it, but it's not necessarily our strength. Say administration is a great example. A lot of people have learned administration. They're good at it, they find it easy, they have learned it because obviously administration is something we need a lot in everyday life. But if there's something else they could do instead, they'd rather do something else because they're better at it. As for me, I say one of my strengths is administration. I love organizing big things. I see the big picture. I enjoy organizing different people and just delegating things. I really enjoy that. It comes naturally to me. Sometimes I can't even stop my brain from thinking that way. So it's a strength of mine and not just a learned ability. I obviously have put learned things towards it and I've grown in it, but it's not just a learned ability. So read through your strengths with an open ear to the Lord and think about which ones might be some that are actually learned abilities. Okay? Now, your next thing is you're going to send an email, you're going to send a text message, you're going to call 3 people. And I want you to call 3 people that are close to you, that know you really well. If you want to call 4 or 5, go for it. That's fine. But let's just do a minimum of 3. And I want you to ask these 3 people, can you write down 5 strengths you see in my life? And so as they give you the 5 strengths they're seeing in your life, I want you to write them in those 3 boxes. You see number 1, person number 1, person number 2, person number 3. So you have 15 more strengths that people have given you and that people have seen in you. And you'll be surprised. A lot of these people will say the same things. Things will be popping up in all 3 of them or in maybe 2 of them. Sometimes the wording is a bit different, but the meaning of the strength is the same. So don't get stuck on the wording, just look at the meaning. Because people will write their own words. People write it in their own words, so sometimes that's a bit different to the other person. And that's fine. So look at those things. Which ones are the strengths that just come up in all 3 of them and also in your own observation, what you think about yourself? Which ones are the things that pop up the most? And I want you to pull out the 5 main ones out of that. So look at the 3 people, what they've written down, and look at yours, what you've written down. And out of that, I want you to pull out the 5 main strengths that people see in you and that you see in yourself. Now, as you know your strengths, you can then put knowledge around it. You can then put skill around it. You can then strengthen those strengths so that you end up delivering a wow, this is incredible, this is amazing. Okay? So let's go. Do the activity in the workbook. Send out messages or call friends or send an email. See what they respond and filter out your 5 main strengths. And I'll let you know that these strengths that you are finding and that you have, they are related to your calling. They are related to your destiny. Why? Because you love doing them. They excite you. They give you life. And that's exactly how our calling and our destiny looks like. It fulfills us. It gives us life. It excites us. We'll be working in areas we actually enjoy working and we are good at. We will be working in our strengths. So enjoy the activity until I see you for the next session.